So, um, if you had to suddenly homeschool your kids tomorrow, what is the very first thing you would do?
Oh, wow. Panic, probably.
Right. I mean, seriously, picture it. For most of us, I think we'd probably just instinctively try to recreate a traditional classroom, right there in our dining room.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd go out and buy a giant whiteboard. You'd print out this, like, rigid, color-coded schedule broken down by the hour, and you'd sit everyone down at the table at exactly 8 in the morning.
Because for the vast majority of us, that is literally the only model of education we've ever actually experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
We are so conditioned to equate learning with a specific location, a specific physical posture, and a very, very demanding clock. The assumption is just, well, if you aren't sitting still and looking at a board, learning cannot possibly be happening.
And that assumption is exactly what we are dismantling in today's deep dives. We're looking at a daily blueprint from a course called Empowered Homefront.
It's a really great course.
It is. And specifically, we are tearing into Module 3, which is called A Day in a Half. It follows a real family, the Howells. So this isn't abstract educational theory.
Right.
It's a pragmatic look at a regular Tuesday for a working family with 3 kids and, absolutely no teaching assistant.
Yeah, which is huge. It's this fascinating case study in operational efficiency. I mean, they aren't trying to replicate a public school in their kitchen at all. They've engineered a system that actually fits the reality of their lives.
So our mission today is to kind of break down the mechanics of how this family operates. We really want to discover how they manage to distill their core academic work into just 90 minutes.
Which sounds impossible, but it works.
Right. And we'll see why that actually yields better results than stretching it out over an entire traditional school day. So, okay, let's unpack this by looking at how the Howells begin their morning. Because the quote-unquote school day starts long before anyone touches a textbook.
Oh, yeah.
It actually starts with movement.
It does. So early in the morning, the dad, Eric, he takes the older 2 kids to the gym.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the mom, Lori, stays home with the youngest, Jackson. And they just do a small, unstructured workout together in the living room.
Gotcha.
And it's really crucial to note here that this isn't framed as, like, a formal PE class with a whistle and a clipboard.
Right. No uniform required.
Exactly. It's just about setting the biological tone for the entire day.
Yeah.
Movement regulates the nervous system, which then primes the brain for cognitive focus later on.
Which makes total sense.
Yeah.
But then everyone gets back home.
Yeah.
And they transition to breakfast. And here is where I kind of want to push back a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Because I really have to represent the parents listening right now who are terrified of their kids falling behind. In the Howell household, all 3 kids make breakfast for themselves.
Yeah.
They're cooking eggs, they're making toast, washing and prepping strawberries. And the course frames this as an invisible classroom. But, I mean, come on. Is cooking eggs really considered school? It feels like a massive stretch to call breakfast an educational block. It's just eating.
Well, if you view education solely as, like, the acquisition of facts, then yeah, it's just eating.
Right.
But if you view education as the development of human capability, it changes entirely. Look at the underlying mechanics of a child making their own breakfast.
Okay, here, let's look at them.
They are engaging in executive functioning. They have to follow sequential steps. They're practicing fine motor skills and spatial awareness.
Yeah.
They're measuring ingredients. And perhaps most importantly, they are taking full responsibility for cleaning up the mess they just made.
I see what you're saying. When you frame it as executive function, it actually sounds completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it through an adult lens. In the corporate world, we pay thousands of dollars to send executives to seminars to learn about process management, sequencing and accountability.
No, absolutely.
But with kids, we somehow artificially separate life from learning. We literally put actual life skills on pause so that learning can happen at a desk.
That is a perfect analogy. We treat life as an interruption to learning rather than, the vehicle for it. And the Howells are completely merging the two.
Yeah.
And that merging continues right after the breakfast dishes are cleared when they move into their family reading time.
Right, so they all sit down together and read from a book called The Daily Stoic, which, by the way, is not a typical kid's book.
No, not at all.
They take turns reading short passages out loud, and then they just talk about what it means. And there's no set timer for this.
None.
Sometimes the conversation wraps up in 20 minutes, and sometimes they're debating philosophy for 45 minutes.
And what's really fascinating here is the total absence of traditional academic pressure.
Right.
Nobody is checking a box on a rubric. There is no pop quiz at the end of the discussion. And because of that, the cognitive load on the children's brains shifts entirely.
Wait, how so? What do you mean by shifts?
Well, when a child reads a passage knowing they're going to be tested on it, they read defensively. They're just scanning for facts to memorize. But when that rubric is removed, it becomes Socratic learning. They're practicing reading comprehension, verbal communication, critical thinking, but they're processing the information creatively.
They're actually thinking about it.
Exactly. They are wrestling with complex ideas simply for the sake of understanding them.
I mean, just think about your own mornings with your family or even just trying to get yourself out the door. It's usually a chaotic rush against the clock.
So stressful.
So the idea of sitting down to debate stoicism over coffee sounds idyllic. But of course, a family discussion isn't the whole day. Eventually, the kids have to transition into individual work.
Right.
And if autonomy and open-ended discussion are the goals, how do you prevent that from devolving into a total free-for-all?
Yeah.
Like, how do you keep kids from just saying, I choose to play video games all day?
Well, that's where we see the introduction of structured autonomy. They move into something called the 5 tasks.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. After the reading time, the kids sit down and write out 5 daily tasks for themselves. The paradigm shift is that these are not assignments handed down by the parents.
Hello?
The kids choose the task themselves. For example, one kid makes a short video every single day. Another works on gymnastic skills or reads a book series called The Tuttle Twins, or just spends time physically building something with their hands.
And by having the children write down their own tasks, the system basically forces them to transition from being passive recipients of information to active architects of their own day.
Wow.
It relies entirely on intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic pressure.
It actually reminds me of that famous 20% time policy at Google.
Oh, yeah.
Where they allowed employees to spend a fifth of their time working on whatever passion project they wanted.
Yeah.
And that policy birthed, it's like Gmail in Google Maps.
That's right.
The Howells are basically giving their kids Google's 20% time, but making it the core of their morning. But I do have a mechanical question here. If a 10-year-old chooses, make a video as their daily task, who is teaching them to edit, are the parents hovering over their shoulder with a software manual?
No, and that is exactly the point. The parent isn't the fountain of all knowledge here. If the child wants to edit a video, the child has to figure out how the software works.
They have to do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. They have to search for tutorials, troubleshoot when the program crashes, figure out the pacing of the audio. That is productive struggle.
Yeah?
A 10-year-old independently solving a software crash is getting a masterclass in technology and resilience that no textbook could ever provide.
But passion projects alone don't run a household. There's a counterbalance to all this autonomy woven in before they get to the heavy academic stuff.
Yes, it's called the morning sweep.
Right.
Every single kid has 3 quick household tasks to complete: picking up the living areas, wiping down counters, handling basic maintenance. And the crucial detail here is the efficiency. It takes them about 10 minutes total.
And I noticed the blueprint explicitly states this is not a chore chart bolted onto the refrigerator.
Right. Very different.
What is the psychological difference there? Because, to me, cleaning the kitchen is cleaning the kitchen, whether there's a chart or not.
It's all in the framing. A chore chart is usually transactional. Like if you do the dishes, you get an allowance.
Or if you don't do them, you lose screen time.
Exactly. It relies on external rewards or punishments. But the morning sweep is framed as citizenship.
Citizenship, I like that.
Yeah, the philosophy is simply, you live here, you help take care of it. It's just an integrated expectation of living in a shared space. Grounds them.
Yeah.
So you get the high-level autonomy of the 5 tasks, but it's balanced by the very humble responsibility of, taking out the trash.
Okay, so I am completely buying the life skills, the philosophy debates, the passion projects.
Good.
But eventually, someone has to learn algebra.
Yes, they do.
Someone has to learn grammar. That brings us to the focus portion of the day, which the Howells call the brain food block.
Right. And this covers the core 4 math: reading, writing, and speaking. This is the heavy academic lifting.
And this is where I really need you to explain the mechanics, because I have a massive logistical question on behalf of everyone listening right now.
Okay, shoot.
Let's acknowledge the reality here. Pulling this off as a working family requires an immense amount of intentionality. If you have 3 kids at different ages and different grade levels, how does a parent avoid going completely crazy trying to teach 3 different curriculums at the exact same time.
It sounds chaotic, right?
Are they literally running between 3 different whiteboards?
Well, that is the trap most new homeschooling parents fall into. They try to be the lecturer. But the secret to the Howell's routine is that the parent is not acting as a micromanager or a lecturer.
Okay.
They have implemented a system that does the heavy lifting for them.
What does that system actually look like in practice, though?
It means utilizing curricula designed specifically for self-teaching and self-pacing.
Oh, I see.
So this might be adaptive math software that automatically adjusts to the child's skill level, or mastery-based workbooks that have really clear incremental instructions.
Gotcha.
The parent's role shifts from teacher to facilitator. Think of them like a project manager. They aren't doing the coding, they are just removing the roadblocks.
Right.
If a child gets stuck on a fraction concept, the parent doesn't deliver a 20-minute lecture on the whiteboard. They might point the child to a specific video tutorial or ask them to reread the core rule. The ultimate goal is teaching the child how to learn, not just spoon-feeding them the answers.
Which means the system can accommodate the individual pace of each child.
Exactly.
Like the oldest daughter, for example, she moves incredibly fast. She finishes her entire Core 4 block math, reading, writing, speaking, in about an hour.
But the middle son provides a perfect contrast to that.
Oh yeah, I love this story.
According to their breakdown, he used to drag his feet. He would take a 15-minute math assignment and stretch it out into 40 minutes of agonizing dawdling. Staring out the window, sharpening his pencil 5 times.
I think every parent listening just shuddered because we've all lived that reality.
We really have.
So how did they fix it without just yelling at him to hurry up?
They introduced a simple timer, and the result was immediate. He now proudly knocks the work out in 10 to 15 minutes.
Why does a timer work so well? Is it just the pressure of a ticking clock?
It's actually a demonstration of Parkinson's law, which states that work expands to fill the time allotted for its completion.
Ah, right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that timer anecdote exposes a massive structural flaw in traditional schooling. Think about a standard classroom. If a highly capable student finishes their worksheet in 10 minutes, what is their reward?
They usually just have to sit quietly at their desk and wait for everyone else to finish. Or, worse, they get handed busy work.
Exactly. There is zero incentive for efficiency. In fact, efficiency is penalized with boredom.
Wow. Yeah.
But in a self-paced, home-based system, efficiency is immediately rewarded with freedom. Once that middle son realized that finishing his math in 15 minutes meant he actually got the remaining 25 minutes back for himself, his entire approach to the cognitive work changed.
He had a reason to focus.
Right. He wasn't dawdling because the math was too hard. He was dawdling because he had literally no reason to finish early.
It's brilliant behavioral economics.
Yeah.
You align their personal incentives with the required work, and then you have the youngest, Jackson.
Yeah.
It takes him the full 20 minutes for his reading block. He gets a little fidgety, which makes total sense for his age, but he pushes through it and finishes.
The beauty is that the exact same overall family rhythm is running, but it just bends to accommodate 3 entirely different humans operating at 3 entirely different cognitive paces.
Right.
The fast worker isn't held back, and the slower worker isn't rushed to keep up with the herd.
Which brings up the most jarring part of this entire blueprint. It's the 5 words that anchor this whole philosophy. All done before lunch.
All done before lunch.
I mean, think about what we've covered.
A lot.
Physical movement, breakfast life skills, family philosophical debate, personal passion projects, household maintenance, and the core academic requirements of math, reading, and writing.
And it is all completed by midday.
Yep.
So if the focused cognitive work is entirely done by lunch, what happens to the rest of the day?
Freedom.
Right. And this is where the stark contrast between this rhythm and the traditional 7-hour school day becomes completely impossible to ignore. Because the afternoons for the Howells are pure, unstructured free time.
They're playing outside, they're building with Legos, they're playing Army in the backyard. The daughter is crafting or, going to dance practice.
And there is an incredible example of what this afternoon freedom actually produces. There is a father-daughter dance coming up, and the daughter wanted to design the decorations for it.
Because her core academic work was finished in the mornings, she was able to spend 2 full days during what the rest of society would consider standard school hours.
Yeah.
Just planning, designing, and building these decorations.
And this raises an important question about how we quantify valuable educational time.
Right.
Was that decoration project part of a state-mandated curriculum? No. Was there a standardized test waiting for her at the end of it? No. But look at the sheer density of the skills she was forced to develop.
Diffuse.
She was executing project management from conception to physical creation. She was practicing time management, resource allocation, creative problem solving.
Yeah, real skills.
Those are high-level executive functions. And they were developed organically simply because she had the time and the freedom to pursue a complex project without a bell interrupting her every 45 minutes.
It's real-world application. She's learning how to actually execute an idea from start to finish.
Yeah.
And this leads to a moment in the case study that just absolutely stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It perfectly encapsulates the gap between this model and the traditional one. It's a quote from the youngest son, Jackson.
The evaluation story.
Right. So Jackson was visiting a traditional public school building for a routine evaluation. He's not enrolled there, he's just walking the halls. And as he's leaving the building, it's the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
He looks around at all these kids who are still sitting at their desks in these classrooms, and he turns and genuinely asks, what do they do with the rest of the time?
It is such a profound observation, precisely because there was zero sarcasm behind it.
Right.
In his lived experience, the heavy cognitive lifting of learning is completed by lunch. The afternoon belongs to him. So seeing children confined to desks at 2 or 3 in the afternoon is genuinely baffling to his worldview.
It really is.
And it forces us as adults to ask a very uncomfortable question.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
How much of a traditional 7-hour school day is actually spent on focused learning, and how much of it is simply spent managing the logistics of moving hundreds of children around a large building?
Oh, the waiting in line for the bathroom, the 10 minutes it takes to get 30 kids to stop talking and open a book, the transition between the cafeteria and the classroom, the behavioral management.
It adds up.
Jackson's question just cuts right through all of that institutional noise.
Yeah.
So, what does this all mean? When we look at this blueprint from the Empowered Homefront course, the emotional core of it becomes incredibly clear. Homeschooling, when executed like this, is not a schedule pinned to a wall. It is a rhythm.
A rhythm that ruthlessly prioritizes efficiency in the morning in order to yield massive amounts of freedom in the afternoon.
Yes, it allows a family to actually spend their time living together rather than just using their fleeting evening hours to recover from an exhausting institutional system.
But that rhythm is only made possible because they completely abandon the assumption that learning requires a classroom environment.
Right.
They let go of the visual aesthetic of school, the desks, the whiteboards, the raising hands, and focused entirely on the actual biological mechanics of how humans learn.
Which brings us to the real takeaway here. Think about your own life. Whether you are a parent who is actively considering pulling your kids out of the traditional system, or you're a professional just trying to figure out how to manage your own remote workday from your home office, the fundamental lesson is exactly the same.
It really is.
We have to stop trying to recreate broken, bloated institutional models in our own homes. You don't need to play the role of this strict manager, and you definitely don't need a bell ringing every hour. You need to build something that actually fits the reality of your own life.
It's about designing an environment where focused, efficient work is rewarded with genuine autonomy, rather than just being rewarded with more busy work.
We started this deep dive by picturing that dining room table turned into a stressful, makeshift classroom. The Howell family shows us that there is a completely different way to run a day one that starts with scrambled eggs and Stoic philosophy, and ends with Legos and creative freedom by noon.
But I'd like to leave you with one final thought to mull over, and it extends far beyond the realm of childhood education.
Okay, let's hear it.
If these kids can master their core academics, engage in deep philosophical debates, and run their own complex project-based learning all entirely before noon, what does that say about the standard 8-hour workday that we have so universally accepted as adults?
Oh, wow.
Are we too just sitting at our desk all afternoon simply to fill the clock rather than to actually do the work?
Now that is a question worth unpacking. Until next time.